that he's working, on things that is very strategic or very confidential sometimes, how to make more the industry more competitive and also develop. And this is what he will talk today about. Even he work in hospitals and banking, currency exchange, you name it. The list is so long that I cannot cover all. But what is interesting is, as I told you, is that he look at the things from the big picture, as he says. So I will leave it for Dorai, and I'm sure I did not cover his his background as I wish. I know that you're gonna hear from him, and you'll appreciate why I'm giving this introduction. So please, sir, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
Yes, doctor, we can hear you very clearly.
Very nice.
You can put it slideshow maybe, Dorai.
Yeah, pardon?
Slideshow. You can put it in slideshow.
Slideshow, yeah, that I'll do that one. Yeah. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great. Thanks, Muhammad, for the nice words, and we are tracing our relationship for over a quarter century now. In fact, exactly we met in 2000, in the year 2000. And it's about 25, 26 years now. And our bonding has been very close and very personal. And I really appreciate your warmth for me and the hospitality you have shown to me whenever I visited that region. More than anything else, I am inspired by your energy in developing the entire society. It's not only for your family you are working, but looking for the society. So I appreciate your energy, and I take always cue from your energy, and we work together. And I cherish the days in which we work together in the Gemba. That apart, and for today's topic, very interesting topic that you have given me, Buhedi, that moving from growth to real development, because everybody is talking about the growth and development in the synonymous ways, by they interchange these two words, growth and development, and they use it for the same meaning kind of a stuff. And by this very title, you brought out that very clear distinction and differentiation between the growth and development, and how we must understand that difference and then act upon that. It is a pretty simple thing. A body grows, mind develops. In the human system, body grows, mind develops, intellect develops, faculties develop, culture develop. All the software part of that entire system is in development, and the physical structure is what is growing. Second one is the growth also has a time period. Body growing, after a particular point of time, growth stops, then it starts aging, whereas the development continues till you are grave. So hence the development is the one which takes you to next level, next level, next level. Whereas the growth is giving you the energy, strength, and the structure for you to do that development. So it's a combination of this growth and development has to go together in a national level, in any organization level. And we try to understand today to some extent by making my feeble attempt to clarify whatever I understood in this. And what I'm going to do is that one is just to dwell upon the conceptual level of growth and development for a few slides. Subsequently, I would love to bring out the differences and the process by which we can achieve the real development by taking India's story, which I am very familiar with. And we are, as a country, we're also growing, we're also developing much faster than others in today's environment, and hope to be in the top 3 sooner than later. That kind of a case study that's having that also this entire growth and development has happened in a fast, very quick time frame of about 15 years or 20 years, less than that. That in fact, the growth started significantly from year 91, 92. It's about 30, 33 years history in which last 20 years has been very significant things have happened. So what lessons we can learn from that kind of a thing? And it is only for example, I'm taking that. It's not that that's the best that has happened. Still long way to go. Well, a lot of distance to be covered. Still, the lessons we can learn, how we can structure the development and the growth in such a combination so that it can happen together, and growth driving the development encourages the growth. These two things are how it is going to complement each other. That's a topic that I would love to deal with. And kind of open house, I would love to have more questions so that more you dig me, more you get from me. Okay, so with this brief introduction, I'll go ahead with this presentation. Is it okay, Mohammed?
Yes, sir, it is excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a framework which I'm talking about, which will be I'm trying to give it straight away to start with, and I'm going to end the same slide. At the end also, the last slide also going to be like this before the thank you slide. It's basically a paradigm, the framework in which the growth and the development, growth and the improvement leading to development. Growth is moving ahead, that is quantitatively, structurally, body, physically, how I'm moving, that's we call it as a moving ahead. That is infra, GDP, economic development, all this physical quantitative measures, quantitative thing going on, number of the kilometers of road that they have done, number of ports we have built, number of airports we have done, number of industries, the infrastructure they created for the energy, or the railway infrastructure, all kinds of infrastructure we are talking about, all kinds of physical entities, establishment and growing. That is all as taking us to the moving ahead. But the qualitative improvement that you do in the people related, societal related, national related, in terms of poverty alleviation, in terms of inclusivity, in terms of sustainability, in terms of health care, in terms of education, all these parameters which again improve the skilling the people and technology development, these are the things which is going to give energy or give the inputs for bringing this growth again. The growth gives me money to invest in the development. The development gives me the intellect and the capability to do the growth again. So this is a yin-yang kind of a situation, but growth leads development and development drives the growth. Okay, but so that is what it is. So for that, what we need to have is a vision, where we want to go, what's our growth, and we have to act. Only talking is not going to be there. It's only, if you know something, it doesn't change anything. If you don't know something also, it doesn't change anything. Only when you act, something changes. So the changes will happen only when you act. That's to for growing, you have to act. And the growth gives you the strength. Use the strength to improve to develop. This is the paradigm. This is the model which we are looking at it for growth development combination and taking the organizations, individuals, nations, society. The model remains the same. The magnitude changes, the sequence may change, but the paradigm, the model remains the same. Okay, this is what we are talking about. If you see from the current state to the developed state, if you have to move, I have to move ahead. While moving ahead, I must move up also together so that I take off and then go to the destination of the developed state. This is what we are talking about. And this is the paradigm, this is the model which I could see happening everywhere. And on that basis, I'm going to proceed further on that one. Is it okay? Can I move on?
Yes, you can, sir.
Yeah. So let us deal on the concept of growth. What is growth? The word growth has been talked about. So it's a process of increasing size, number, mass, measured quantitatively through metrics like height, weight, volume, etc. The physical changes in the organism, all in nature. We know very well that physical changes are happening continuously. You are not the same person after 1 minute. It involves all irreversible increase in size. And core characteristic of living things, this is a growth is a core characteristic. If any living organism has to grow or decay, some change has to happen. And quantifiable increase in the business parallel, if you want to do that one, what business revenue in terms of nation is GDP, the net income, and its lifespan is at maturity. At a particular level, growth stops, then the decay comes, then you have to reinvent and again start growing again. Okay, but development continues through a person's and nation's life. So let us understand what the word development talk about when compared to this is the refers to a process of progress and positive transformation that leads. See, growth is giving you about a change, whereas development we are talking about transformation. This is the basic difference you have to understand in this. So growth is continuous change that is happening in you. Whereas when I come to development, it is a transformation. You are not the same of yesterday. If you have learned something more, you are more wiser than that. You are more knowledgeable. If I got more experience, you become more wiser. And but the transformation that leads to improved growth again and improve the quality of life. And it can be economical, social, physical, technological changes that can come in the development. The concept of development is going beyond this economic growth part of it, which normally the organizations will talk more about in terms of GDP. My country is growing means it's in the GDP. Country is developing. Well, also many times it is linked to that economic development than that of a social and other developments. So now we are talking about then the real development is in addition to the economic development, how the social development is very critical for the nation's progress. Okay, so it is a income as broader improvements in human capabilities, living standards, and the opportunities. So it can be on a product, service, or a profession. Can be on individuals, societies, or economies. It involves changes that lead to improved living standards, improved health and well-being, opportunities for all in society, improved social, economic, and technological achievements. Okay, it is nothing but focusing on achieving better standards and addressing specific objectives over time. So development is on moving ahead, moving higher, elevating ourselves. It is, to be precise, kaizening. How I'm going to levitate myself from the current state to the next state. That's what this development is all about. So the key aspects of development is that growth is the first aspect. Without growth, no development. And it has to meet the objectives. It is improvement of standards, the quality of life, leading to higher living standards, greater well-being. These are things. I must be better than what yesterday, today. For tomorrow, I must be better than what I am today. If that is what is I'm talking about as a development, and it brings out a structural change inside the deep structural change of systems, not to kind of technologies and society structural progress. So the contextually, it is very depending on individually that this development means something. If it is a group, it is something, or it is a society, it's a nation level. The contextually, we have to understand it differently, slightly. But the phenomenon wise, it is nothing but the transformation that happens in the structure for moving to the next higher plane in all aspects. Okay. So again, it's only to amplify whatever I said about it. In the economic context, or social context, or individual context, or structural context, or specific fields, how I'm going to understand this development. Physical development, mental development, emotional development, development of skills and development of potential, development of capabilities. So all these things are coming under that broad thing called development. Okay. So this again, again another amplifying what we have talked about. It's a product development, or a social development, or economic development, and industrial development. This development in a national level, in the economies, was necessitated in a big way after the World War. The post-World War, most of the economies got shattered and everyone was rebuilding. And that is the time this concept of a modernization theory came in the development model. What is that? This one in the World War, development was primarily viewed as an economic process focused on the growth of national economies. At that point of time, all the economies were ruined. So the focus was on the how I'm going to improve my national economy, how I'm going to grow, and how I'm going to eliminate poverty through increased industrialization and modernization. So this development was considered equivalent to more industries, more modernizing the processes of the industries, and increasing the production, increasing the productivity, increasing the output. Thereby, GDP has become the critical parameter for doing that. So this is the proper time when it was needed. The economies were shattered, and economies were really was looking for restructuring themselves, reinventing themselves, re-establishing themselves. And this viewed as a linear process. The idea is that one is, if my industries grow, nation will grow. Society will get adjusted to this growth path. That is what I call as a linear thinking. It's a linear process wherein all societies will get adjusted, aligned to the economic growth. Social progress will follow the economic growth. This is the basic understanding, basic premise on which that theory was developed. Late 40s to 50s and 60s or the time. That is, but now if I got to come back to this kind of thing, industry 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and all we are talking about are all coming from that particular paradigm. And limitations in this happened in the 20s. As we progress, there are few countries which has really grown, and whereas many countries couldn't grow in that paradigm for two simple reasons. due to the need for front-loading the huge investments and resources, which was not there with many countries, which the lagging development started looking at as underdeveloped developing countries. That's how the bracketing grouping has started happening in that one. It's mainly because of that theory of modernization theory, wherein the industrial growth, the economic growth will lead to social growth, and all societies will align to that one. Whereas where we could not do, one is that the resources are not there in many countries, and some countries had the resources, they progressed much faster. So the gap between the developed and non-developed or underdeveloped countries or developing countries have widened. So the importance of the social, cultural, and political factors in development was not really taken seriously in this model. Pure economics, pure industry, pure modernization of the processes. It failed to account for the unequal distribution of power and resources in the global economy. So everybody, the formula remains the same, the resources are different, hence the matching was not happening, mismatch has happened, gaps widened. Then comes in the 1970s, what they came out with the concept called dependence theory. That is, okay, you develop, so developed countries should support underdeveloped or non-developing countries in form of aid, in form of loans, in form of technological support, kind of a thing. Okay, so the unequal relationship has to change. That is what is the developing economy started talking very vigorously, and that has come. The economic and political domination of developed countries or the developing countries prevented the latter from achieving the self-sustaining economic growth and social progress. This has also started coming up very to the fore very strongly in the late 70s. So that called for near structural change in global economy, such as debt relief, fair trade policies, monetary aid, support to promote sustainable development and reduce poverty. So that is what started happening in the late 60s and early 70s, and it went on up to 80s even. Since 2000, the concept of development include it's not only economics, it's not only industry, it's not only the infrastructure, it is social and environmental factors as gender equality, environmental sustainability, social justice. These are the four factors have started coming within that paradigm of development. So this approach emphasizes the interconnectedness of the economic, social, and environmental issues, and need to balance the economic growth with the social and environmental responsibility. That has come up very, very strongly because of we have the greenhouse effect, we got the global warming effect, and natural calamities all start coming up. Because of that, the environmental responsibility was not taken into consideration when I went into the modernization theory. So that's how the entire development thrust has shifted from not only for that industrial growth. It has to be, along with that, social and environmental issues has to be understood. And we must be having a sustainable development and not the blind only development of the industry. So then over this one, ANDP has come out with I'm just giving you this one, concepts on the development, what all the thought process going on, which affecting our day-to-day life as well as the nation's policies. This is a Millennium Development Goals for UNDP. These are the 8 Millennium Goals that has been given to all the countries, in which eradicate extreme poverty, achieve universal primary education, promote gender equality, reduce child mortality, improve maternal health, combat malaria, the other diseases, ensure environmental sustainability, and a global partnership. So this is the 8 broad goals, and a lot of metrics have already developed, and how you are measured and monitored as well as reported every year in all these parameters. There's a huge work has gone and going on, and that is how it is being monitored. Every country is ranked, and every parameter, and they are advised according to that term. The policies are changing according to that. A lot of things are happening in the development model. So now what I'm talking about is, if this social development has to happen, in addition, the economic development work has to happen. Where from I'll get the resources? That is what the major issue. So one of the things has happened is that the economic development cannot happen without economic growth. The growth is the foundation. Growth can happen without development, but the development requires growth. Without development, growth cannot happen because we don't have the resources for it. That is what we are seeing in the inequality that has emerged in the modernization theory period. The developing countries did not develop that kind of resources because growth didn't happen, so resources didn't get generated. Hence, investment in the development initiatives couldn't be done that much. Hence, we are lagging behind. That is what has really the issue from the growth to the real development is real development in the social side, real development on the people side, real development on the cultural side. That has to happen. So this model, India is a country, as I mentioned in the beginning, in the past 2 decades, particularly more than in the past 1 decade, is really caught up and then marching ahead, trying to run ahead. And for the past 20 years, it has been working in that model. Past 30 years, it has really trying to transform from a different way of thinking to the globalized environment. That is, it started in somewhere in 90s and picked up in 2000s. From between 2010 to 2025, this last 15 years has been a phenomenal change that has happened in this country. So I want to use that case study because I'm familiar with that one and want to emphasize this thought process of for real development, how the growth is necessary, and how this this can be structured in organizations, in the country, the societies, in the nations, in the countries. That's a model that I want to talk about. So just a growth story quickly, because some numbers will be coming, but at the same time, I'll be talking to you on that. What is that behind this numbers and do that. See, for example, it was only 321 billions in 1990. That's what I said, the story of India growing has started really from 1990. And for the past 10 years, this has been phenomenal. The growth has been something tremendous. So in 2015, it's 2.1 trillion. 2025, that is, it's now estimated to 4.2 trillion. That's almost double in 10 years. How that is what is the real growth story. Whether that growth is leading to development is what we are talking about. Okay, so if there is a gap in that one, that need to be bridged. There is a this one is there's a development economy has to be understood very clearly, and there is a sector in this country operating as development sector, which focuses on the social development side completely. So the increased GDP brought the higher tax revenue, generating funds for infra and social development, and poverty elevation programs. So that's where I'm coming to. This growth is needed for investing in development. So development cannot happen without growth, but growth can happen without development. There are enough examples in this because one of the country with oil-rich country in African country, GDP went on very well, economic growth, but it was the whole resources was not distributed properly. They didn't have the proper development program for that one. Hence, that economic growth didn't lead into proper development in that country. And a lot of political issues have happened because of that. So the point what I'm trying to make is that when the GDP is growing, when the growth is happening, that the country should have a clear vision for the development. Or rather, have a vision for the development, for funding that on what kind of resources, what kind of infrastructure is needed. So how it can be dovetailed from the vision of the development that should drive the growth. And growth should happen to generate resources for funding those development. This thought process, if that is accepted at every level, and thus growth and development can happen, real development can happen sooner than later. And there's no time lag between these required. Anyway, this is quick, this one. One of the reasons for that quick development or this, etc., is we can call about is the service sector is the one which is given 55% of my GDP. The reason why it could give quickly is that one is low investment, low gestation rate, quick turnaround time for that industry. Instead of the other basic infrastructure projects as well as the industrial level, investment takes time for giving the yield. So a quick 55% is what is helping us in this. The industrial sector is about 30% and about 15-16% is my traditional agriculture, forestry, etc., etc. So now what I'm talking about is that one is the vision with which, as well as the process that has been taken for the quick growth, is that one is focusing on the service sector. That started giving the quick revenue, the growth has happened. For supporting that on the whatever infrastructure required has come, that in addition that generated further revenue, that further revenue has gone in for the basic infrastructure development for the country. So the result is we are now having the second largest road network in the world. Down to the highways are 146,000, 771,000 kilometers of village and town roads. Air travel, the 83 new airports in the last 10 years have been added. It has become 175 airports in the country. And rail connectivity to all states in such a huge country happened. And high-speed trains are introduced. First bullet train is expected in 2027. So this is that leap that has been taken in the infrastructure. This is what I call it as a growth. But this automatically leads to increased economic activity, mobility increased, the business started moving much faster, so it started generating more revenue and the resources becoming available for development expenses. This is the connection that I want to emphasize on this. Similarly, the maritime sector, there's this one. We got phenomenal number 12 government-owned major ports, 217 minor and intermediate ports are available. 95% of countries' trade volume is through the maritime. That's what is happening in addition to the surface transport that is happening over there. Cargo handling capacity has increased phenomenally, doubled in the 10 years time. Well, 630 millions. The number of ships, vessels have moved to 1,500 ships and vessels in the country now. So why I'm putting these numbers to you is that one is, what I need is that growth is definitely needed. If the growth happens there, again, resources coming out for development. Then similarly, this one is as far as the sustainability, sustainable energy, this one already we achieved that 2030 target taken in the Paris Convention through the wind, solar, and hydro sources. Okay. And so, but just one number, our capacity is about 247,000 megawatts is a renewable energy today. Fossil-based energy requirement in fact, it has been, it is just frozen. Whatever the capacity created is created. The fossil fuel-based power plants more or less frozen. So this is the real sustainable development model by focusing on the infrastructure in a renewable energy area. So the growth in this leading to that sustainable development. So in the economic front, as we talked about, the GDP has gone up. Similarly, national income per capita has also rose by 4 times. It's from $2,000 to somewhere around $9,000 today. It's on a 2021 purchasing per parity. It is adjusted to that purchasing per parity. It's not that exact numbers. Similarly, national income has also gone. We are having almost digitized the entire payment model. 49% of the global real-time transaction happening in this country in a very simple technology innovation, that is UPI. Then the other social sector developments are the housing. For 9 million houses have been provided for the urban poor, 2.8 million under construction. This is what is going on. All the funds are coming from that development, growth. In the increase in GDP, giving to that buoyant in the tax revenue. Tax revenue is properly channeled to the social development. Health. The simple one number is from the life expectancy has gone up from 41 years to 72 years through the improved healthcare systems. Facilities available and medical tourism has become one of the important things that is happening in this country now. The education is the mean years in the school. That is what is one of the major issue was there. That's the parameter given by UNDP. What is the mean years in the schooling has moved to from to 13 years today. That means almost everyone comes out at the school level completely clearing it. And the gender disparities are still remaining there. The female labor participation is only 41%, and the political representation is lagging. And certain initiatives are already in the process, that is on the legislative level, in the political level, and the societal level. Some initiatives are being taken to bridge that one. That is in terms of the constitutional amendment that has been done last year. Give 33% representation to in the legislators to the females. So, based on this one, the vision, what we are talking about, why I'm taking this India story is that one is, if the entire development is not driven by a vision, it's not going to work out. So, what is that vision? So, we want the country as a country, by another 22 years, we should be in that from the developing to move to developed. So the criteria for moving to developed is all going to be in the where all we are going to have in terms of economic growth, in terms of technological growth, in terms of infrastructure development, social empowerment, and sustainability. These are the 5 criteria on which this mission has been developed with the vision of we'll become a developed nation by 2047. And we have a demographic advantage of youth, and the poverty elevation is becoming this one. So the focus on them, focus on women, and focus on farmers. These are the 4 pillars on which this Y criteria is going to be worked out on that. So the vision and the mission, how I'm going to achieve that vision is want to be the developed country, And mission is how I'm going to achieve it. These are the criteria. These are the others one. What priority I'm going to do in that also is that one zero poverty. In fact, the country has around what you call it, so about 20 million, 200 million people have moved out of poverty in the past 15 years. And still another 200 million is still there. The population is growing, and so that is what the model, the priority is zero poverty, 100% good quality in school education, high quality, affordable, comprehensive health care. These are all the social development that we are talking about. These are the vision. For spending on this, I need to generate resources. I need to grow my economy to that extent. As the economy grows, resources get generated. By investing in the social sector, the development happens in the nation. So this is the link. If you want to have a real development, you must have a vision and you must have a means of increasing, growing your economy. This combination, this connection has to be understood very clearly, and we have worked on that. So 70% women in economic activity, from 41% would love to make move them to 70%, 71%. For farmers, making the country as a food basket. In addition to feeding the country, they must be in a position to feed the whole world. These are the vision. These are the priorities on which this whole developed India by 2047. These are why I'm taking this as a case study is that one is it has got a very clear, very and easily understandable model. Have a vision, create activities around that one, to fund that one, generate fund through growing the economy. For growing the economy, invest in whatever priority is required in terms of infrastructure, facilitate the industry to grow, revenue generate, put on this development needs. And I'll come back to this same model. Now you can understand that now what I'm talking about. I developed a vision, that is, vision is developed state I want to have in certain number of years. And for that, for this, I need to grow to so then only I can be in a position, because I must be able to manage the development. Physically, I must be strong enough to manage the development. My internal faculties has to be managed by the physical structure. The body doesn't grow, only mind grows. Also a problem, we can't do anything. The faculties cannot develop, so both has to match. So you have to first grow and become strong, use the strength to improve the various sectors, social sectors, and improve that lead to development. So move up by improving, and combination is called development, which is the from the current state to developed state. We can move on that. Okay, so this is the in nutshell. What I would love to what I was trying to present here is that can we learn, can we evolve a process wherein real development is the vision, and what is the state it should be, where I want to be fixed on that, then develop the entire model of reaching that one through economic growth, infrastructural development, social engineering, improving the social sector, education, health, and housing, and capability and skill development of the people. And with that skill development, again, this side, economic growth is giving you the generation of opportunities for employment. Skill development is the other side it has to have. These two things give, again, next level of leap start happening. Then the spiral effect start once coming in. There's no stopping for the country to grow, country to develop. Okay, so the whole inspiration is coming from the very picture that we have, the vision that we have. It must have inspiring vision. And that inspiring vision has to be backed up by the adequate, suitable action and the adequate, suitable projects and processes. These three combination will take us from the current level to growth, from growth to development. This is what we are talking about. And I just would love to stay here and want to understand, get the feedback from the participants and proceed further.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sir Dorai. Really, it is inspiring, at least inspiring for me, because I know the background of this a lot. Maybe for some, it is a bit challenging, but let me just summarize before we give the floor for our friends who's attending. By the way, we are also covering this in Facebook. It's live stream in Facebook. So anyway, Dorai says that in general, development should be done in parallel with growth. And in summary of that, it needs an inspiring vision, which is both. It should have adequate physical and spiritual means. And this is, for example, in India, where they started with service and then they gone for infrastructure development, growth, and then they started to also grow the industries, and then the revenues and the resources started to be utilized with the vision to develop the society. So this is what is the theme of Dorais. Maybe he can add if there is something missing. But I would say, from my experience in India, and having done maybe more than 20 projects there under inspiration economy, I think the secret, and we have written a book, me and Dr. Dunya, about the secret of India development, not growth, because of education. I think they utilize education to the extent, the techniques that was developed to eliminate poverty through education is we didn't see it in any other country, even though we stayed in Africa for some time. I mean, I'm talking about myself personally, and I traveled to 17 countries in Africa. Unfortunately, because of the education is weak, poverty stays there to be stagnant, and disparity is very high there. And India still have disparity, but compared to the number of population, I think it is they are doing very good. Now, besides, I would like to say, maybe we'll hear from Dorai later. Maybe Dorai can take notes now, because I know it's very late for you now, and I know you are this time. Maybe you prepare yourself to get up for your prayer, but take notes so that you can answer maybe the collective questions together, since we are running out of time.
Yeah, please.
I think one of the things with the challenges of growth, even though you have a vision of development in India, is that you're going to have also, because the growth is very fast in India, and the GDP is very high and coming very high very quickly. As you said, it is doubling every maybe 10 years and so on. But at the same time, it's bringing with it also socio-economic challenges that maybe we need to, and this is where inspiration economy is also concerned. For example, we noticed when we visit India, there is cardiovascular disease a lot, obesity is a lot. I mean, it's increasing. The disparity in certain areas is very high, even they are in the same region of India. India is a large continent. I consider it like a continent more than a country. So disparity, you can see it even in the same, let's say, region, whether it's you're in the east or west or south or wherever. So this is maybe something that is interesting in how we minimize this, because the idea is that when you do development, real development, this is how we understand it here in inspiration economy, you are supposed to manage the socio-economic challenges, okay, not to increase the socio-economic challenges and to treat it again. So maybe something, this is, I leave it for you, Dorai, maybe you can think about it. If you can answer me now or later, you are welcome. You would like to comment on this now before I go to others?
I'll just address this particular point that you raised. See, one of the challenges that still in this is that one is the economic disparity, though gradually reducing, but still it's very quite significant and stark. that need to be addressed. That is one of the visions of one of the goals that has to be set in the real development. The disparity has to be similarly development disparity. Some regions are developed very high, some regions are not developed. And in fact, that is what is getting bridged. For example, there is a, now I can tell very well, this one, there is a concept called a Bimaru state, that is a weak states. There are 4, 5 states is known as a Bimaru states. Now that in the past 10 years, the rate of growth and rate of development in those states, they are now threatening the so-called developed states within this country. They are catching up. So that is the bridging the gap between the disparities between the states, between the societies, between the people. That is, this is the 3 levels it is being taken. And because of the mobility of the people that has improved in this country, this disparity is also coming down. The earning capability has gone up. Money in the hands of the people are increasing, and that disparity will come. But of course, a long way to go. It's not that it started. At least the recognition is there, and the efforts are there, and the programs are designed to handle that one in this 2047 mission.
Okay.
And the second one is the challenge. The second one is this one is a social level. Is the what you call it as a so hopefully I can say that one also is the corruption level that is there. Still our indexes we are not faring very high in that. These are the two major challenges which you have mentioned. That one is you have mentioned, which I am mentioning. Second one, these two things is a social effect that are the why the need for corruption is happening is because certain amount of paucity, certain amount of requirement that's not getting met, and some greed. So how I'm going to handle these while developing, while growing, this is the real human development has to happen. Okay. So these are the three challenges. Third one is the participation of the all sets of people and the skill development. Literacy is there, education is there, but still skill and employability is also one of the challenge that we have to take it up and which has to be picked up in this mission. These are the three issues that is there. This is again coming up for that investment is required, training is required, working with the society is required, and there are organizations and how it is to be done. There is this one is the effort has started from the top bureaucracy level. They have called it as in the Hindi we call it a karmachari, the employee, to karma yogi. How I am going to convert my IAS officers, the bureaucrats, from an employee worker to karma yogi, who is a dedicated person for that. So that's the transformation. That's the kind of effort is happening at the top level. From there it is coming. Of course, long way to go. Hopefully we achieve that one. That is one of the thing that is plugged into this 2047 mission.
Thanks a lot. Okay, Prof. Nadeem, I think you are there.
Somebody raised the hand for some.
Yeah, this is the Prof. Nadeem. Do you hear me, Prof.
Yes.
Nadeem?
Sir,
Yeah, go
can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. And it's a very nice presentation and very nice talk and very in detail talk. And I have a very different way of the vision of seeing this particular topic, which you actually are
Please,
exploring
please.
During this time, because no doubt the basic elements of the real development actually discussed in length by the speaker. Well, one of the important thing is that, which I would say that practically, when you want to actually achieve this movement, this transition towards the real development, definitely requires some kind of practical ways in order to achieve this particular element, because this thing is very technical, and this thing requires some very dedicated efforts for any kind of economy. I won't actually limit myself towards a particular country, because this thing is actually applicable to all over the world, especially in the developing economies. and they have to adopt these practical ways. Like, for example, the first one is the how much the investment is required in the human capital in order to increase the public service, health, and education to improve the quality of life and the long-term potential. The second element for the transition practically requires to prioritize the equity, implement such kind of policies that ensures the economic progress and benefits all the segments of the society, such as reducing the regional disparities and providing the social safety nets. The third element is the build the resilience, actually addressing the environmental challenges, for example, by investing in sustainable water infrastructure and renewable energy to mitigate the climate change impacts. And the fourth one is the how you will actually make some rethink about the economic models, keeping in view the current challenges, like, for example, like exploring the alternative frameworks such as definite economics that integrate social and environmental limits into the economic planning. And the another element which is very much prominent in the developing economies is to ensure the accountability, establish a transparent and accountable governance structure that can effectively implement the development programs and ensure the economic gains are distributed fairly. Actually, the things which I have just told you, these are the actually the challenges which definitely faced all the developed economies, either in case of accountability, either in case of building the resilience among the people. So I think that practically these challenges need to be addressed at all levels in the world level, I should say that, because uh, especially the developing economies, they need to invest some kind of extra efforts, especially the stakeholders of, like, for example, the government, as well as the people, those who are actually living in this particular areas. They have to actually practically see that these transition of moving from to go to real development requires some extra efforts, and you have to rethink some kind of economic models in which you can achieve the maximum results. So I won't say that, for example, no doubt the India has captured a lot of development growth in the case of like for the last I think so for 10 or 22 decades, and definitely they have captured a lot of potential from the all of this world economies. And but sometimes we usually see that some of the people say that the about 1.3 billion people are actually living under the poverty line in India. So some disparity might be seen that, for example, if there are such huge number of revenues actually being generated throughout all the states, and practically if we see the quality of life actually in some of the remote regions of the India, we do have some very challenges over there which we need to be addressed. But I would say that because I would suggest that to this forum as well as to all the people that try to make a kind of vision of this transition in a way in which we address the issues of the all economies throughout the world and try to make it some generalized results which is actually going to be applicable to all economies. So I think that these are some of my point of view, which I have seen that something needs to be in addition to that, which the speaker has told. And I think that towards that, I want some kind of answer or some kind of views or the comments from the speaker for this particular issues,
Yeah.
which I actually raised out. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mohammed, can I respond to that quickly?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
The points that raised by professor is very, very valid, very pertinent also. And also it's a right kind of observation in the society that is in the situation in the country also. Uh, as a person, I have traveled quite a lot, and I'm a keen observer for various economies as well as the behaviors of the countries. One of the things that is this one is the times frame in which these changes started happening and the size of the country which has to change. These two things are one of the major challenges for this transition to happen. As he entered very clearly, the vision is clear. If your roadmap is clear, very clear, and the projects are evolved or programs are evolved suitably, the challenges that is mentioned by doctors can be very easily can be addressed. I won't say easily. It has to be addressed and it has to be it will be addressed. And all the challenges, particularly the disparity part of it, as well as the social behavior part of it, these two things has to be addressed for any real development to happen. And third one is how I'm going to improve the quality of life in overall sense is again it's a contextual understanding has to happen. What is the quality of life? And from different paradigms and different settings, different contexts, the definition will vary. So accordingly, that it has to be redefined for the context wise. For example, for a tribal area, the quality of life of a tribal area, tribal person will be something different than the type of quality of life in the city. So hence it has to be, if we can really define those parameters contextually and start working towards that one, the transformation can be much comfortable, much smoother, and maybe faster. But the points mentioned by Professor is very, very valid, and I appreciate his input on that.
Okay, thanks a lot, and thanks for Prof. Nadeem for this also, let's say, these insights more than even questions. Okay, any other questions, please? We can take one more question before we close. Dr. Ahlam, Mariam, Dunya, or anybody else?
No, I just want to thank the professor for his presentation.
Okay. Any questions other than thanking Dr. Dorai, Professor Dorai? He's more than a doctor. He's a professor. Even though he don't believe in PhDs.
I'm neither a professor or a doctor. I'm a worker.
Okay. Any other comments? We'd like to hear from your points, you or Dr. Dunya, Dr. Ahlam, about what means development from a social sciences point of view. Especially we have also the Professor Mamoon is there also. Any comments before we close?
Yeah, I think I think he's asking a question that he knows the answer already. And social development, it's everything. We don't look at it only from administrative way or financial way or social perspective or health perspective or only to be any change in the life. We don't call any change as a development. And not every improvement is development. And sometimes we do this, there is this mixture between when we sustain and we stay in the place, or we do a sustainable development. And here where some people think that if we sustain, we are developing. And this is like, we call it, it's like a dynamic way in seeing the things. Did I answer you, Dr. Muhammad? Or I can say a lecture about this.
But I understand that one is see the development from a social perspective. We have to see it has to be merged with or arising out of the cultural setting and the ethos of that particular society. In the name of development, what if we start bringing some other culture, some other society's behavior and the practices, and here many times it may not work in that. So that is why the development is one of the parameter that we talk about is a contextual. So the context in which this whole thing has to be designed has to be taken up. Otherwise, what really happened in a country like ours, where we have been ruled by British for quite some time, the culturally there is a trying the changes that has happened in that one. Many people are finding it difficult to readjust or adjust to that one, and so still it's a mixture has happened. A new culture is emerging. So that contextually, if the development for one does not mean a development for the other. That kind of a thing will happen within the same society if it is not contextuated according to the culture of the place. Okay, so the social development when we are talking about, that's what I was taking a very simple example as a tribal population. Their way of living, what they are feeling comfortable is that one. I put them in an air-conditioned room, the tribal fellow will feel suffocated. Whereas in a city-bred person's air-conditioned room is a minimum thing that is required for a so-called comfortable living. Hence, what is that the requirement? How I'm going to design that development parameter within the context in which that has to be done. If that we decide, the entire initiative can, or entire program, entire drive, entire movement can happen comfortably. Yeah, did I answer the question, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Context is very, very important. Cultural context.
Yeah. I think Mariam, she had a comment also.
Yes, Mariam?
Mariam, she says that money do not grow, but minds do.
Yes.
This should be taught at school. Very well said. So she's thanking you.
So,
She's one of our founding members, Mariam.
I know. I remember to meet her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Mariam, this one is mind develops. Body grows. There's a
Yes.
small correction to that. That's all I'm telling.
Yeah, this she's saying money itself also.
Money. Okay.
Yeah. But minds does grow.
Mm.
She believes that the mind does grow. Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So I think with that, I think we need to close. Any final thoughts, Dorai, before we close?
From my side, thank you for organizing this and then give me an opportunity to express. And love to get more such opportunities from you.
Thank you, sir.
And we collaborate and work some more on real issues.
Yes, and we are sure we're gonna learn from you a lot because at this time, as I've been telling you, this is the age of wisdom. You've seen a lot. You've entered many industries, and you managed to bring many companies from from growth base to development base, and even in your country, I think you are a very humble man. I didn't want to say in the beginning that you are one of the pillars of the country who helped India to grow, especially in industrial side of the growth side. So I believe that with that we thank everybody who attended this lecture, and those who missed it. Many people apologize because today of whatever happening on the TV, and today is hopefully the world will be more peaceful. Well, let's hope that, inshallah. And we look forward again to have you all again in our next international session, inshallah. Thanks a lot, and thank you for waking up at this time for some of you who's from India, Pakistan, and other, and I can see people from Malaysia also. So thanks a lot, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Good
Thanks.
night. Bye bye.
Right.